Monday morning, snowing in Johannesburg. Can you believe it? Welcome to the show, and thank you very much for everyone who's liked and subscribed. We appreciate your time. We know you've had a lot of options to look, but you're clearly very intelligent and sticking with the Sias to Plessis show. So thank you very much for that, and also a big shout out to our new partners, Betway. Check out betway.co.za for all your betting needs. Now, I'm very excited to introduce a man who I've watched a few times. I think you're a warrior. I love the fact that you're a gamer, you're aggressive. Sometimes you take shots to give shots. But Roarke Knapp, thanks so much for joining us, man. This boxing love, where did it start? Take us back. I know it's like we're getting deep from the start here, but take us back where your love for boxing started.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Always welcome, bud. Always welcome.
The start of my boxing career actually started from bullying.
Okay.
That's how it started. As I've always said, I was a very shy and timid kid where, I kept to myself, very scrawny. I was easy pickings for bullies, and that's exactly what happened. I got bullied. So as a result of that, my stepdad saw this and saw that I did nothing about it and took me to a boxing gym to, teach me how to defend myself and harden up a bit. I was far too soft as a kid, and that was the first bite of boxing that I had. 9 years old. Yeah, I was 9 years old.
Do you remember that, walking into that gym? Because
I
it's
do remember
intimidating,
that.
Isn't it?
It's so intimidating. I remember that walking into that gym, I was in the South at Boyson's Boxing Club. And when you walk in there, it's just rough, tough, rugged kids. Kids that don't have anything, that come from, not the best situation. So they're really rough and rugged.
Yeah.
And then there's me who's, come from a cushioned lifestyle. And it was very intimidating. But we went for it, and it showed that I actually had a bit of a boxing ability, because I was always sporty, whether it was golf, football, rugby, cricket, motocross, you name it, I did it. And I first walked into the gym, very intimidating. The smell of the gym, I still remember, all those sweaty gloves and,
Bit of BO.
Yeah, bad. And,
Any gym has that.
started boxing, got involved, and I remember the first time I ever got punched in the face was we did a little bit of a sparring session, because we were kids. They didn't play around. Even though we were kids, they made us spar, and I got cracked in the mouth for the first time, and I cried because of the shock. I'd never experienced such shock like that. It took a big shot. When you check the roof and your head comes back down, nose is bleeding, eyes are watering. I started crying, and that was the first introduction of boxing for me.
It's interesting you say that, because even though you were a kid at that time, and I know it's a cliche that's been used so many times, but Mike Tyson's always like, everyone's got a plan until they get a shot in the mouth or the face. Definitely. Or whatever it is. But that initial shock, was that a make or break moment for you? Or was that like, I know you were only 9 years old and it's maybe difficult to ask, but at the same time, was that like, okay, I can handle this, I'm going back? Or it's like, no, I think I might be out here.
Yeah, it was the latter. I didn't want any part of it, to be honest with you. I was like, this sucks. I don't want to do this. But I had no choice. Yeah. I really had no choice. My stepfather was like, nope, this is exactly how it's going to be.
Yeah.
You're going to harden up. You're going to learn how to defend yourself, and you're going to toughen up a bit. And that's what I did. I had no choice but to go to the boxing gym. And I started falling in love with it. I started getting better. I started understanding it more. I learned how to move my head so I don't get punched in the face. And it just grew from there.
That confidence in boxing is a massive thing. Regardless of your skill level, I think it's just the confidence to know that I actually can stand my ground, right? I mean, that plays a huge part, not only as a professional boxer, as someone who holds 2 titles today, but also as someone who's starting out, just learning the pugilistic art of boxing.
No, definitely. And that goes across, all avenues of my life, not just with, knowing that I can handle myself. It's how I tackle life, how I deal with, situations, how I deal with, tough times and stuff like that. Boxing plays a huge role in that. And boxing did make me a confident person, all in all. If you can stand in front of thousands of people on national television and have it out with another man and fight and be as as raw and as real as it gets, pretty sure you can do anything. You know what I'm saying? Nothing else other than that can bother you. So it's definitely a nice thing to know, especially in a country like South Africa. We are a hostile country, so not that I ever get into trouble, but it's always a nice thing to know that I can look after myself or look after my family or loved ones.
That's one thing that stands out, and I love combat sports. I'm a huge fan. Obviously, my role with the MMA scene, but you come across guys who have weapons, and you guys have got weapons. And if it's the boxing weapons, if it's the grappling, whatever it may be, I get the impression it's always you guys that are stepping away, trying to avoid situations where people are trying to call you out or cause cuck. Because at the end of the day, you look at these guys who are breaking through, little amateurs. They've got a little bit of ego. They can stand and they can bang, or they think they can. They're the ones more likely. Or it's just the guys who are looking for trouble because you're Roarke Knapp and you're standing at the bar and they're going, "Oh, I bet you I can take him." You know?
Yeah. You actually said it perfectly. For me, I feel like the people that know and understand violence to the level that I do also, we tend to gravitate towards it. We rather look for the route away from it. And you'll find those people that do challenge us and try and, have this ego that they try and prove a point. They don't understand or comprehend how ugly violence is. We do. I mean, I do it for a living. I live it every day of my life. And there's also a certain responsibility with that power. You can really hurt people because of what you know. I mean, not to say that we're better, but we are different. We are wired differently. We are designed to hurt people, whether it's MMA, grappling, boxing, you name it. Any form of combat sports, we are wired to hurt people. And vice versa, we can actually handle it being thrown back at us, no problem. Most people that you see on the street, they can't. They're not built like that. And those are the people you find that are typically the ones that are edging for drama and looking to start issues. And I don't go to bars. I don't go out. I don't go to clubs at all. You won't catch me in any of those places at all. Not just for the reason that I don't enjoy it. It's not my cup of tea, but also because I know it's just asking for trouble. Someone that's got a bit of liquid courage in them, had a bad day maybe, he's feeling some type of way, he wants to prove a point, he's going to come and start with me. And then that's just going to be a mess for me. So I'd rather avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very mature, and also you're a professional athlete. At the end of the day, you are going to find yourself, the more success you have, more people knowing who you are, it puts a bigger target on your back. And I think you spot on. That liquid courage is a game changer. And the guy trying to impress his girlfriend or his mates 100%. Or whatever it is, just looking for trouble. But the one thing that always sort of I think about is that everyone's got a puncher's chance. And the momentum that comes from just, even if it's some drunk dude throwing, and he connects you down. And you rather, as I say, you just remove yourself from that.
No, definitely.
But have you had people coming up to you and maybe like, if it's even on the beach, man, I don't know. Like, or is it generally like the South African public warms to you? They're quite chilled with you?
I've never actually encountered, I've encountered maybe, stupid instances where, a bit of road rage, people get clever or stuff like that. But I tend to work on diffusing the situation. I'm around, high value men that are very sharp, very clever, very wise. So, they've guided me and explained how to handle situations like that. We're all human at the end of the day. Just because I've got a sense of responsibility, I'm human.
Yeah,
I'm going to lose my marbles every now and then, or something's just going to go wrong. But it's just about how you handle it and diffuse situations. I've never had issues where someone started with me at a restaurant or a bar or a pub, nothing like that. I'm quite a hermit. If I'm not training, I'm at home with my family or relaxing. So, like I said, I don't open that door at all.
Smart move. Speaking of which, let's flip that to when you're preparing for an opponent. Because over time, over decades, maybe even 100 years, we've seen bad blood between opponents. And yes, I absolutely love it because it builds the hype around a fight. Even if it's not really intentional, like we've seen a lot of athletes will do it literally to hype up, to get...
And then behind closed the doors, they're the best of mates.
Exactly. So that, for me, is that something when you're preparing for a fight that you try and look for a little bit of the hype, or is it purely strictly business? Because there is that whole social media aspect to it where people are like, oh, he's going to bang him, he's going to bang, whatever it is. Did you hear what he said? And that's actually what you want, because it puts bums on seats.
Oh, exactly. It gets people talking. It gets people excited. There is an element of gees that I have, but I never ever have like a direct animosity to my opponent. Remember, this is my job. It's like You know, you have your 9 to 5 and I have mine. Mine just happens to be boxing. Obviously, with that being said, it is a combat sport, so there's a lot more variables that go into it. I don't particularly look for the excitement and the drama and you know, the mad build-ups. I like to think that my actual fighting ability and style and what I bring to the ring will be enough to put bums on seats. You know, if I can talk well, if I can interact with people well, you know, I'm not stupid, I'm quite sharp. Those things also play a role in putting bums in seats. You know, if you're relatable, if you are likable, you know, I'm just an everyday dude. Same like everybody else. I just fight for a living. Doesn't make me better, it just makes me different. So I don't feel like I need to be out in there, you know, talking and running my mouth and stuff like that. I've never been like that. I'm not like that, so I'm not going to change. However, I match respect with respect and disrespect with even more disrespect.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you, yeah.
So if I do, you know, come across an opponent that does have a big mouth and does have a loud mouth, I know how to put him in his place, and I know what to say that will prove my point. Let you know that I'm not here to mess around. I'm coming to do a number on you.
Is that at the weigh-in sort of thing, or the face, or tell me what?
It can be both.
Where was that there's a bit of psychological warfare.
It can be. It can be at weigh-ins. It can be at press conferences. Even I've never had an opponent that's, you know, run his mouth and carried on. So I've never had to bring that side out where I put you in your place and I tell you exactly what's going to happen, and in a rather violent way. You know, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm going to do this to you and this to you. I basically tell you your reality. This is what's going to happen. And I'm going to send you home empty-handed and you're going to wish you never signed the contract, kind of thing. But that's as far as it goes. I mean, I'd like to think I'm a nice guy. You know, I get on with people very well. So there's no real need to change that, you know.
That disrespect thing is a big thing, because for me, the amount of hours you guys put into a camp, for example, now you're preparing for a massive fight in September. The blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice that comes with that. I mean, weight cuts, all these things, and then you've got an opponent who's bad-mouthing you. Yeah. Surely it's difficult not to let that get under your skin.
Believe it or not, it's like water off a duck's back with me like that. You know, even if he's trying to get under my skin, I've had it before. I've had it with opposition that have tried to get under my skin. I knew it was going to happen, so I expected it. You know, if I expect something, it's not going to catch me off guard or surprise me. I mean, I'm not emotional like that also. If you're going to try and get under my skin, you're pissing in the wind, unfortunately. You know, it's just not going to happen. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how much an opponent or, an opposing camp will try and talk and get under your skin, at the end of the day, we have to fight. Whether you say what you say, I don't care what you say. The day is coming for us to fight. It's ticking down. The clock is running out. We've signed contract. The day is coming. Whatever you say, do, I don't care what you think. Whatever happens, the day is coming for us to fight. Then we're going to see. Because your team can talk rubbish. You can talk rubbish. But when we get into that ring, and it's me and you, that's where we settle our differences. Then all that talk goes out the window. And you can't talk. You have to actually fight. And if there's one thing I can do is I can fight. I might not be able to, trash talk and,
It's not in your personality.
No, it's not in my personality, but I can fight. And that's where I prove my point.
Speaking of which, when you enter the ring, national anthems are done, ring announcers done the thing. What's going through your mind there? Because I'm sure there's butterflies. I don't think you'd be human if there weren't a bit of butterfly.
Of course.
But what's going through your mind there? Take us into those, a few minutes, I suppose, before you get into war.
Don't look stupid. Don't mess us up. Don't mess us up. Don't look stupid. And crack on, honestly.
Okay, so that's seriously what you think?
Yeah, don't mess us up. Okay. Don't look stupid. Don't embarrass your team. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass your people. I mean, for me, that's always there.
Okay.
Don't ask me why, because I'm there to fight. I'm not there to do anything else besides that. But then it's also game time. When that bell goes, that first bell goes, and it's like autopilot. It's game time. Then all of those thoughts, they go out the window, honestly.
And how important is it? I mean, I imagine when you're standing there, you throw the jab. To get that first jab in also just sets the tone, I suppose, because you're trying to find that rhythm, the range. Am I moving? How
You're
do
still
I
quite
feel?
jittery.
Exactly.
Yeah. I actually think about that often. Whenever I'm preparing for a fight, I always think about that first sequence. my distance, my timing. Don't overreact. Don't try too hard. Don't overcommit. Just let it be. Because I used to be like that in the past when I was still inexperienced, and obviously I'm still gaining experience as I go. But once that first exchange happens, then it's fine. Then you kind of start to settle down because you get a feel for the power, you get a feel for the tempo, the speed, everything. Obviously, I can control a lot of it, but you start to get more of an understanding, and you adapt.
Yeah.
You adapt to what's going on. Whether he's fast, then you're like, okay, cool, he's quick, so I need to start working on my timing. I need to time him better. So it's all about staying switched on, staying on live. And if he's got power, okay, cool. Well, how can we get away from that? How can we deal with that? It's always looking for solutions to problems. So I think I'm constantly problem solving so much that it becomes like a dance almost. It's like I said, it's autopilot. I don't plan for things to happen. It's just reactions, one after the other.
That's the power thing, especially in your weight division. The guys have serious power. I know everyone talks, but it's not the heavyweights. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, guys still have power. And I think with sports science, with training, with nutrition, conditioning, those percentages, they increase every year. And you say what you want, but when someone has power and you taste that power, is it kind of like, okay, well, hang on a second, I've got to stay on the outside, or I've got to avoid that left, or whatever it is? And you've alluded to it in problem solving, but when you get cracked, it's because sometimes it stuns you, sometimes you feel like, okay, I'm in a fight here. Just take me there.
Well, listen, we might not be the heavyweights, but my division and even from welterweight, actually all divisions. It's all relative.
I was gonna say junior middle, there's power, man.
Like middleweight, the 154-pound division, honestly, and I'm not saying it because I'm part of that division. They say it is one of the heaviest-handed divisions. There's some killers in this division, and it's all relative. It's all relative. So, heavyweights can handle heavyweight power. Light heavyweights handle light heavyweight power. Look, there's guys that are freaks of nature that just hit far beyond their divisions. And there's guys that are in my division that are like that. And when you get cracked by guys that are heavy-handed, it's remember, we wired to fight. So we take note of it, but then we move on very swiftly. Like I said, problem solving. And it's also, once you take the first crack, you kind of know what you're in for. So you can also adjust and adapt. Listen, I've been hit very hard in my career. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. I've been hit from pillar to post. I've kissed the canvas many times. So I've been on the receiving end of some big shots. But we fighters, we are born this way, so we just keep going. It's almost like kind of stupid. You get cracked. I remember I got cracked so hard once. I remember, and I watched it in the replay, that my body was facing my opponent, but my head was facing the crowd behind me. Like serious whiplash.
Wow.
Like I got hit very hard, but again, you crack on, you swallow it, you take it on the chin, and
but
you
then
go.
The good weight cut, conditioning all comes into play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's where the science comes in, like you just spoke about it. I've got a phenomenal team in place that handles that. My strength and conditioning coach, Josh from Performance Purist, Vusi also, my trainer who obviously helps me with my defense and my boxing IQ. And I've actually got another young trainer that I work with, a guy called Hisham from Apex. Very clever guy. He's a student of the game.
I saw on Instagram that you holding pads with him, I think.
Yeah. So he's a student of the game, and we've got a great connection there. So that also adds to my game, overall with my strength and conditioning, who handles my cuts. I've got a nutritionist in place that handles these are the variables that are there, but we try and control them as much as we can, which do inevitably help. I mean, I remember I got dropped quite devastatingly against a guy on Dumbasi a couple of years back, and people thought I was out for the count. I even did. I couldn't move. I remember I couldn't move. I remember the thoughts going through my head. I was lying on the ropes, and I was telling my body to move, but I felt
the lights
paralyzed.
Switch off.
Stage 5 load shedding off.
Wow.
I promise you, it doesn't hurt to get sparked. It does not hurt, but it's darkness, complete darkness off. And I remember, telling my body to get up, move, but my body wouldn't respond. I don't know how I did it in 10 seconds, but I got back up. And I think that was also a testament to my conditioning, how successful the weight cut was, the training that I put myself through, and just the overall well-being and looking after myself as an athlete.
Because your body hits the reset button, let's be honest. That nervous system shuts down.
It's like Windows shutting down.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. But all due respect, of course, to the being sparked, but the fact of the matter is, I think people just see you when you're in the ring and they're like, oh man, I can murder that guy. You know how it goes. But yeah, hats off to your team because I think they've done a phenomenal job on you. And your record speaks for itself, 16-1-1. It was interesting. You said to me you don't look at your record. Why is that?
To be honest with you, I'm more consumed with and I concentrate more on progressing with my career, not looking at what I've done. Look, it's nice to see where my ranking is. That's what I pay attention to the most. You know, where we are in the world and what's going on. But other than that, I'm doing my job. I'm training. I'm getting ready for fights. It's almost like blinders. I mean, I got no reason to look at my record or who I fought and I don't care. I'm fighting this guy. I'm going this way. This is the direction I'm going in. So I'm focused on that.
Out.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, a lot of fighters are obsessed with records. And, I mean, you look across the board, that's what sets them apart, you know. But looking at your sort of next fight, September's a big one. Zik, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, me neither. I'm not even going to try.
Anyway, I think 2nd September it's happening.
Yeah.
What do you know about this guy? I mean, and how much tape do you study? Because I think these days with YouTube and everything,
it's accessible.
There's tape on everyone.
Yeah, I've watched him. I've seen a few of his clips. I typically don't study. My team actually do that for me, and then they train me accordingly. I've always been the type of fighter, and I don't think I'm the only one, that I like to see what's in front of me on the night.
Okay.
You know, you can prepare for what you think you're going to see, and then what happens if it's completely different, and you're like, whoa, you know, you can't put your eggs in one basket. So I always leave my trainers to kind of build a framework around how we're going to fight, and then I adapt to what I'm dealing with in the ring and
like
fight
a plan
accordingly.
A, B, and C scenario?
Yeah, I guess you can say that. It's just also how it just makes it comfortable for me.
Sure.
I just feel comfortable like that, because also if I watch my opponent and I fixate on it too much, then I overthink.
Absolutely.
And then it's a problem. So I just deal with what's in front of me.
Okay.
And that's also my style as a fighter, to adapt, make adjustments, this, that, and problem solve.
Yeah.
But he's, you know, I've watched my opponent. He's lanky, he's tall, very rangy. You know, likes to keep guys on the end of his shots. And I've got a nice game plan in my mind in that sense of what I want to start doing. Obviously, just now I try and do that, and then it doesn't work. I'll have to adapt. Plans change all the time. So I've got an idea of what to do. And that's just to be aggressive, push forward, you know, touch his body, slow him down, and see if he can deal with the heat. See if he can, you know, operate under pressure. And if he can't, then I'll get him out of there.
Because boxing is not about headhunting.
No.
It has its place, absolutely. But I think when you're going downstairs, upstairs, body, head, mixing it up with combos,
it's a nightmare to deal with.
I mean, and we can see what a shot to the body can do. It shuts you down.
Oh yeah.
People talk about getting sparked, but a shot to the rib cage or kidney.
That's it. The thing with the headshot is, you can take a great shot to the head and recover. You know, you can, recover and defend yourself and kind of do what you need to do. But with a body shot, you might get up from the body shot, but I can tell you now, you're not the same for the rest of the fight. That body shot stays with you the rest of the fight. And I've been in there every fight. I've caught one and it's stuck with me.
Yeah.
And it's such a, I can't explain it. It's such a horrible shot to take. I'd rather get sparked any day than take a good body shot. But a good body shot feels like you want to die, honestly.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Roarke, let's talk about, you touched on your team around you. Vusi obviously has done, you guys have a great relationship. What makes him such a unique trainer? And I know he's been around the South African scene. He's worked with some great trainers, but he's come into his own now. I think the last card, he had all 5 fighters on the card. So, this is a guy who's making his mark. Tell me that relationship you guys have and the importance of growing with your coach or your trainer.
Well, listen, it's obvious the qualities he has as a trainer. He's a phenomenal trainer. Let's not talk about that. What makes him a great trainer in my eyes is the love he pours into his fighters, the care that he has for his fighters. It's not that he invests his time, he invests his heart, he invests his emotion into his fighters. It's like there's such a unique connection there where, like, I felt it with him, where we don't even have to say a word to each other and we know exactly what to do. I know exactly what he's thinking, and vice versa. He knows how I operate and how I know how he operates. So there's that that trainer, fighter trainer connection that I personally have with him, and he also has with the other boys. I was actually talking to him about it a couple of days ago. We were all in the gym training, and I looked around and I was like, holy, I realized I've been with Vusi the longest. I'm one of the guys that's been with him the longest now. Like all these guys that have come with him.
How long is that, by the way? A couple of years.
Long now. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the majority of my career. And I said to him, I'm your veteran, coach. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, look around you. I said, these are all young prospects, all new guys. I mean, when I came in and I started training with Vusi, he was still with Hecky. He was still training DJ. He was still training Reino. He was training all those boys, but not anymore. I've been around since those days. Now, he's like you said, he's coming to his own, and I'm a part of that. Yeah. So I said, I've been here for a long time now, coach. He's like, yeah, you have. So we've got that connection. I love him to death. It's been an incredible journey so far.
Let's talk about this this journey of yours. I know you've had some epic battles. I mean, the Taser fight, for example. Your recent French opponent that you had to graft to get past. But this next fight, like, where does it put you in terms of where you want to be with your career? Everyone chases the strap. There's no doubt about it. Yes, you're in it as a career and your God-given talent. But at the end of the day, your legacy is about getting straps and gold ones at that you hold on to and defend. Tell me about this trajectory. Where are you aiming to go? Because as someone who doesn't pay a lot of attention to his record, but he pays more attention to his ranking, because obviously that's what puts you in the mix. Tell me about that next step. What do we expect from you? What are you hoping to achieve in the next few months and years?
Well, to be very honest with you, the end of this year is going to be quite a big year. They always say it's going to be my biggest year. It really is. There's some plans in the pipeline that are quite incredible, really, for myself, because I never thought I would be here. But I am here, so I'm taking advantage of it.
Why do you say that you don't think you'd be here? Sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
The fact that you just said that, I have to ask.
Well, you know what? Boxing is it's a hard sport.
Yeah.
And it's full of talented people. It's a really deep pool of talented people. So, and the numbers that make it and get this far are slim to none. It's a very small amount of numbers that get this far, and I have. So I never thought I would. I was a footballer my whole life. Yeah, I dabbled in boxing as a kid because I got bullied, but I was a footballer my whole life. I was born and bred to play football.
Yeah.
That was the first thing my dad ever did, was put a football in front of me before I could even talk or walk. But I'm a boxer, and I'm knocking on the door of something quite incredible for myself. There's big plans. I definitely want to become a world champion, and that will happen next year. But at the end of this year, we'll see me fighting some top opposition. I mean, I'm ranked highly in the world. I'm sitting among the best in the world, which is an achievement in its own, and it's incredible, and I'm grateful to be there. But I don't intend on staying there and leaving it at that. I intend on taking it as far as I can and becoming one of the best on the planet.
Yeah.
And I'm knocking on the door of that, I believe. My promoter, Rodney, has got a great plan for me. My manager's looking after me tremendously. So I've got this great framework around me that's allowed me to be here and continue to go as far as I can. And hopefully we're talking WBC the end of the year.
Wow.
Against some top opposition. And it's a privilege to be able to fight guys from around the world. Essentially, I'm knocking on the door of the pinnacle of the sport, and what a pleasure it is.
And I think any South African boxer, we've got such a proud history. We've had world champions. I know at the moment Sivanati is flying the flag for South Africa, but you're like within touching distance. I mean,
yeah.
Does that come with responsibility and a little bit of added pressure? I know that it's literally a fight by fight scenario.
Exactly.
And it's a W by W scenario. Exactly. But looking at the scene in South Africa at the moment, and our guys like Cameron Simon, Drickus, Timber, you got BK in one, all these guys in different promotions.
Yeah.
You look at Kevin Lerena, he's the same promotion as you.
Yeah.
Is there a bit of added pressure? Because I get the feeling right now South African combat sports is on an upward trajectory, and it's been flying for some time now.
No, I don't. I don't allow the pressure to get to me.
Okay.
There is an element of it, of course, because you got expectations. However, for me personally, I try not to let that get to me at all, because it's a privilege to do what I do. It's not. Pressure is, as I've always said before, pressure is a single mother or father looking after kids, you know, trying to make ends meet, trying to create a life for your family, trying to survive, you know, not knowing what's going to happen the next day, literally living day to day, or being homeless, or, you know, going bankrupt, or whatever the case is. That's pressure.
Yeah.
You know, pressure from your job. What I do is a privilege. It is an honest privilege and a blessing to do what I do, because people don't get to do it. Effectively, I'm living my dream. So it's exciting.
Yeah.
And I try and take advantage of that and hold on as tight as I can, because it's not going to last forever. You know, it's not going to last forever. So while I'm doing that, I'm still trying to, you know, create something that will sustain me for the rest of my life. I understand that boxing can end tomorrow.
Yeah.
So like I said, I live in the moment, and you say fight by fight. And, you know, I try and just become the best that I possibly can be. Yes, you got Cameron Simon and Drickus and Kevin and Temba and all of those guys. But they're doing their own thing as I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing this for me and for my family. The only benefit of that is, you know, when I become successful and I carry on doing as well as I am, so it's for South Africa also.
Yeah.
And I'm flying the flag. Then do you know what I'm saying? So, but it is selfish to say, but I'm doing this for me, because it is such a hard sport. It is a temporary sport. It can be taken away from you tomorrow. And then what?
Yeah.
So I'm just focused on enjoying this, because it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
It's been one hell of a ride. I've met some incredible people. I've gotten to do and see some cool things. And yeah, I'm just going to hold on as tight as I can. So no, I don't see pressure. I'm basically a kid living the dream. So I'm going to just roll with that as long as I can.
Good for you, man. And that's I think that's a great space to be in mentally, because I think a lot of athletes tend to internalize that pressure and don't talk about it. So it gets bottled up, and then that negatively affects their performance as they go down the line. But because you've adopted this approach saying, damn, I'm privileged to be here.
Yeah, of course.
But yes, I have the skills to pay the bills. And there's a legacy. And if it's a 10-year window, or 15, if you're lucky, so be it. But the fact of the matter is, by sort of taking it in your stride as part of the journey you're on, it's just such a good space to be in, because that leads to success. It leads to positive energy, positive mindset, and being able to realize your dream. And like Kevin against Dubois at Tottenham Stadium, are you kidding me? I mean, that's a South Africa, you know, so that's how close
it's within touching distance. You can smell it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think that's what's very exciting for me. And I have no doubt that in the future we're going to see you fighting for some even bigger titles.
I'm hoping so.
Apart from the two you currently have in your bag. I wanted to just speak to you outside of boxing. Like, I know you at some point were, am I going to say hairdresser or barber?
I was a barber.
A barber.
I was a barber. I did dabble in hairdressing. I did learn how to do women's hair, which I can do.
Okay.
But I was a barber. That was what I did to make ends meet while training on the side and trying to develop this boxing career.
See, I'm an uneducated person when it comes to anything to do with hair. I go to my Egyptian barber, Mina, who sorts me out.
Haircut sorted, done.
Does my eyebrows, nostrils, whatever you need to do.
I get it.
Is that something you would ever look at getting into after boxing again, considering that you've got that background?
I'd probably own a couple of barbershops. Okay. I wouldn't get back into it as far as cutting hair.
Sure.
You know, I'll cut my mate's hair every now and then, but even then, it's very rare. I can always do it. It's not a problem. If someone really needs a haircut, okay, I'll sort
Do
you
they knock
out.
on your door and say, "Hey"?
I've had people even now, and I haven't cut hair for so long, but it's been years.
Yeah.
And I'm so out of reach from that world that I've had people say, "Hey, listen, I'm dying for a haircut. You always cut my hair the best. Please, can you come?" I'm like, my man, I don't do that for a living anymore. I appreciate the consideration, but
exactly.
I can point you in the right direction, but I don't do it. I'm going to stop what I'm doing, go cut someone's hair for like $100. It's just not worth it.
No, of course.
Maybe in the future I'll own a few barbershops. That's, you know, as I want to do a lot of different things when my career wraps up. But no, as far as cutting, I'm done. Maybe, you know, my girlfriend's here, I'll blow wave it and straighten it and, you know, do what I need to do if she asks me, but that's about it. That's as far as it goes.
Because she's your girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's it.
Brownie points.
It's fascinating. The reason I say that is I can't remember the ex-Leicester City captain, Wesley, was a King. I can't remember. But he owns, I think it's about 6 or 7 tattoo shops in and around the UK. And someone as you with proudly sports your ink.
Yeah.
it always fascinates me around the reason for getting the ink. Footballers, obviously, they have their sleeves and whatever else. Some guys don't have ink at all. But the story behind your ink is there's a lot of commitment, a lot of time and money that goes into getting the right and quality ink.
Yeah, listen, I've still got a lot of people that are questioning my choices with my ink. But that's for them to question. It's luckily they're not
It's your body,
the
bud.
ink. It's my body,
Yeah.
exactly. I've always been around it. My whole life I've been surrounded by it. My dad was actually a biker when I was very small.
Okay.
My dad's also chopped up tattoos all over his arms, both arms and whatever. And we used to go to rallies and bike shows
Here in South Africa?
Yeah. Where there would be tattoo competitions
Got
and
you.
stuff like that. So I've always been around and I've always loved it. I knew growing up I wanted to be tattooed. I was like 5 years old. I wanted to look like my dad with tattoos.
Okay.
I took it a step further though, and I've started covering myself. And my best mate, he's also covered in tattoos. So it's just something that I love, and it's my story. Not every tattoo has a deep meaning.
Yeah.
The only meaning that they have is that I like them, so I got them. But the majority of my tattoos, about 90%, they tell a bit of a story. The one on my chest tells a story. It's all a bit of a story, and that's why with each tattoo, it obviously covers me more. It's adding to the story. It's adding to the page of my book.
And the neck one, is it sore?
Very sore.
I was gonna say that
The neck is very sore.
It's done really well.
Yeah.
But it looks super painful, man.
No, the neck was very sore. To be honest, there's nothing nice about getting tattoos. I'm not one of those people that gets tattoos because they enjoy the pain. I hate it. I just
There are
love the
people like
art,
that?
and I just
No way.
There's stories I've heard of people going in to get. They don't get the ink tattooed. They just get the gun to go on there. Yeah, I've heard that, which is crazy. There's a word for it, but I can't think about it. I can't think of it.
Or something.
It's crazy, and I'm like, people do that. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, no,
Learned something new today.
it's very sore. My neck was incredibly painful. My chest was incredibly painful, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
It's worth it in the end.
So there's some real estate left, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
The reason I asked about was it here in South Africa, because you for a large part of your time you were in the UK. Is that sort of do you regard the UK and South Africa as home? I mean, and what would it mean to go and fight in the UK and represent South Africa? I suppose it's quite an interesting one.
I'm actually a British citizen.
Yeah.
My dad being English, I've got a British passport. I lived in the UK. I grew up in the UK for a majority of my life. So I guess they are, South Africa and England, both my homes. I've still got family there, my mom, my stepdad, my siblings, grandparents, everybody's that side. So yeah, it definitely is my home, and I would love to fight in the UK sometime. I actually did move over there a couple of years back to box full time in Manchester. Didn't quite work out for many reasons. So
What's the scene like?
It's different. It is boxing at the moment in the UK is pumping like you cannot believe. It's just on another level, that side. The investment that goes into it, the time, the passion, the love, the supporters. I mean, you've seen when guys like Ricky Hatton used to go to Vegas, thousands and thousands of Brit supporters would follow him.
Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua just
100%. They're packing out 90,000 capacity stadium, selling it out.
It's crazy. Yeah.
It's wild when you think of those numbers. So at the moment, the UK is the hub of boxing. So I would love to be able to fight in the UK one day. Maybe for a world title, or if I'm defending my world title or whatever. It'd be lovely to go over and
That'd be amazing.
have a bit of a go and represent South Africa on that stage.
Speaking of the UK boxing, Tyson Fury, I think there's talking about the Usyk sort of, but I know Usyk is fighting Dubois, if I'm not mistaken, now. And then you've got White fighting Joshua.
Again, yeah.
What do you make of that situation? Because everyone wants to see Tyson Fury fight. I mean, he's a freak of a guy. The way he moves, the speed for, what's he, 6'9" or 10"?
He's a big fella, but he can move.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Because I know there's the Frank Warren and there's the different promoters that don't see eye to eye, and it's about money at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
But imagine Fury Joshua, or who would you like to see? Fury Usyk, or
I would like to see Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua, if I'm honest with you. I feel like that's a fight that's being slept on. Obviously, would like to see the massive domestic fight with Wilder and Joshua and Fury.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll ever get that. Money talks.
Yeah.
If it makes money, it makes sense. So I think they just haven't met their numbers yet. I think they're trying to time it right. Now I see Joshua fighting White again.
Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, but I think it's just to put AJ on the right track again, and try and build his career up and try and
is that a confidence thing in your opinion?
It might be. I mean, he dispatched of White many years ago for the British title. That should be way behind him. Even Fury fought White for the third time or something like that. But for what? But the thing is, the stadiums were packed out. People came to support it. So, I mean, it makes money. Get the fight on, right? And regardless if we think it makes sense or not, people are going to watch it and they're going to get paid. So it is what it is.
Watching.
But all of us want to see, Wilder versus Joshua and Joshua versus Fury and maybe Usyk versus Fury. I don't know if that fight will ever get made. Dubois has landed his ass in the butter now with Usyk. And he has a real shot of becoming a unified
think he can take
world champion. Listen, I never ever sleep on any fighter. It's a fight game. You never know what happens, especially in heavyweight boxing.
Absolutely.
One punch can literally change everything. Just takes that one shot. But Usyk is he's a special fighter. That he's once in a lifetime type of ability.
He's not big for heavyweight.
He's not big, but what he lacks in size, he makes up for ring IQ. Knowledge, everything that those heavyweights don't have. Because you think about it, the heavyweights, they don't really have a big work rate and they're not really the fastest guys. Usyk, with his angles and his technicalities, he's just a special fighter. So I don't see anybody dethroning him anytime soon. But you never know. This is boxing; things change all the time.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's got a chance. Everyone has a chance. I mean, you think of Kevin, that first round against Dubois.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone was on the edge of their seat, if not jumping up.
I was screaming at my flipping TV. I'm sure the neighbors were not happy with me. He was so close. He was so close from having it. But you know what? It's boxing. It happens. The fact is, he went out in front of 90,000 people at Wembley Stadium. And he did us proud regardless, and he did what he needed to do. So hats off.
How do you think you would react to walking out to 90,000 people? A top Tottenham Stadium or Wembley or wherever it may be.
Listen, I can't say because, when you walk out at something like Empress Palace, which is a grain drop compared to Wembley, I think the energy would be unbelievable. That atmosphere, that intensity. I think I would obviously try and feed off of it. But remember, as I've always said, when you get through, for me, when I get into that ring and that bell starts, everything around me kind of like drowns out. So I don't know if it would happen if I was at Wembley. I would definitely make the most of it. I would never I would try not to let it slip through my fingers. Give it everything I've got, as I always do with every fight. I always leave everything in that ring and then some more. So I would do nothing but the same thing. I would just be the same old Roarke that does his best, does what he needs to do, and tries to make everybody and himself proud. That's it. So that's the mentality that I would have going to Wembley. I know it's easier said than done.
Sure.
Kevin went and he did it.
It's paved the way in
exactly.
some instances. Yeah.
Exactly.
2 more questions. We're about to run out of time here, and it's been fascinating. Thanks for sharing your journey. A lot of people say you tend to take a lot of damage to land damage. Is that just your fighting style, or is it something that, and you'll see where I'm going here, because the media tends to sort of, and boxing and combat sports, and my executive producer, Ray, often says this, especially in these sports, it's a bit of an echo chamber. So it's the same media, it's the same fighters, same fans saying these things.
Spot on.
How do you react to that sort of thing? Because I personally love watching you fight. I honestly think you're a gamer. And,
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And whenever you're on, I make sure I'm watching that fight. But how do you react to that? Because everyone interprets things differently. Everyone is an expert on their couch at home. If they're an ex-fighter, if they're a fan, if they haven't picked up a boxing glove in their life, how do you react to that? Is it something that you even pay attention to?
Listen, there's times where people will give me a little bit of advice based on what you've just said, but the majority of people are the ones that are saying things that they quite and frankly don't have a right to say. They're not in there and they're not doing it, so I don't pay any attention to what they got to say. And I'll find and I've found often it's very critical, which at the end of the day, as fighters, we're putting so much on the line there. Yes, nobody has forced us to do it, but effectively we're putting so much on the line for your entertainment. And you want to slate us and say, oh, for example, he takes far too many shots. He's going to end up with, because I've seen it.
Yeah.
You're going to end up with brain damage. Well, why not just be positive and support the fighters for putting their bodies on the line, for sacrificing what they do for your entertainment? Because whether you're criticizing it or not, you're watching, right? So appreciate it. And I know my style can be like that, where I do take a few to give some, but this is boxing and combat sports as a whole. You're going to get cracked. Yeah. It is what it is. The sooner you accept it, the better. Yeah, I definitely try not to get cracked, and I try not to, be there to take punishment. But I've noticed the higher you climb the ladder, it becomes a bit difficult. Guys are sharp. Guys are very clever. They don't fall for your tricks. Guys are wisening up to your traps and this and that, and they can pick it up, right? So it's easier said than done. Those same people that would say these things and, oh, he takes too many hits. I would do this. Well, then come and show me how you do it.
Sure.
Please show me and set an example. If you can do it, then I'll shake your hand and say, you know what, I'm wrong, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
So those same people that would, criticize and slate, not just me, but fighters. It was the same for Kevin when he nearly took Dubois out in that. And it's like, well, you come and do it.
Yeah.
You go walk in front of 90,000 people and fight one of the biggest
Mountain
fights of your
man.
career.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
You, even an Emperor's Palace walk, it's still a serious thing. You walk to the ring in front of thousands of people, all the cameras are on you, national television. Let's go, let's see how you handle it. Let's see you do it. So I don't pay any attention to it. I don't really care what they say. I'm more concerned with what my family say and the important people around me, what they say. So I don't really pay attention to it.
That circle of trust, obviously.
Exactly.
Lastly, what excites you about your career at this point in time? Because I can see you're a guy who's very comfortable in his own skin, very comfortable with his skill set, but hungry for more. There's fire in that belly. What excites you for this remaining chapter? Hopefully there's many more chapters.
The potential. That's what excites me. The potential to see how far I can really go. That gets me out of bed in the morning. That makes me hold on to this with both hands. That's what drives me forward and makes me excited to see what I can really, really achieve by putting my mind to it and really working as hard as I can to make that become a reality. I've already got a great team behind me that will ensure and do the best they can to ensure that. So the framework around it is solid. It's just up to me. And it's the potential. What if I can really become great? What if I can become one of the greatest the country's ever produced? What if I can become a multiple world champion? What if I can achieve that financial freedom that every fighter dreams of? What if? Well, stop turning that what if into a question and make it a reality. So it's that potential and the fact that I feel like it's possible, like I can smell it. I feel like it's there in front of me to take. It's just for me to take. That's all it is. So that's what excites me about this and moving on and progressing with my career.
Roarke Knapp, thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on everything. I'm sure there's many great things still to come. Good luck in September. I'll definitely be watching that fight. Thanks very much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe. Of course, we're on Spotify and iTunes if you want to listen. But thank you very much for joining us as always. And a big shout out to our partners at Betway South Africa.